Part 20. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 191. Chapter 191. What are you really afraid of? Xiao Mian was stunned for a moment, then said immediately, No, it's okay. She is still very self-aware. They are all good friends who have known each other for more than 10 or 20 years. Although she is married to Mo Yesi, this is her first time meeting them. To them, she was just a stranger. Then see you next time. After Shenro finished speaking, she turned around and walked out. Gong Zili left with him. When I left, I didn't even say hello. Xiao Mian felt that the air pressure around her was getting lower and lower. Turning around, he saw Mo Yesi's face darkened, and there were faint signs of anger in his eyebrows. Shenro and Gong Zili walked to the door. Stop. Mo Yesi suddenly spoke up, his voice was cold and sharp. Gong Si, if you don't want to come out next time, then don't come out. Also, have you ever said hello to your sister-in-law since she came here? She is my wife, that is your sister-in-law. If you think you don't want to recognize the sister-in-law, then you don't need to call me second brother anymore. I don't have a brother like you. Mo Yesi's words instantly made the atmosphere at the scene drop to the extreme. For a while, no one spoke. It was so quiet that it was like everyone had disappeared. Gong Zili has already walked to the door. Standing there with a stiff back, one hand by his side tightened hard. Yan Shaoqing said hum in his heart and frowned tightly. Damn it, I'm really afraid of whatever comes next. He knew that Gong Zili's behavior tonight would definitely make his second brother angry. Whether he was protecting Shenro or not, he was doing something wrong. What kind of person is the second brother? Super protective of shortcomings. After finishing the meal, even Yan Shaoqing could see how much Mo Yesi really cared about Xiao Mian. That kind of rareness is the rareness a man feels for a woman. It has nothing to do with anything else. How can someone as rare as him tolerate being treated with contempt by others? Even if that person is his good brother, it won't work. Second brother, fourth brother. Yan Shaoqing, who was afraid that the two of them would have a quarrel, tried to comfort him with nice words. However, just as he opened his mouth, Mo Yesi's voice, so cold that there was no trace of warmth, fell into his ears. It's none of your business, just shut up. Yan Shaoqing. Turning his head to look at Mo Yesi's expressionless face, he trembled with fright and immediately did not dare to say anything more. The second brother has a bad temper and is known to all. But he is rarely truly angry. The rare times when he got angry were very impressive. If he was really angry, Yan Shaoqing would not dare to provoke him. Looking at Gong Zili's stiff back, Yan Shaoqing could only pray for him silently in his heart, hoping that he would not persist in it until the matter became irreversible. That would be bad. Mo Yesi's behavior surprised Xiao Mian. It was also very unexpected. She never expected that he would do this. Actually, Gong Zili didn't like her and didn't even say hello to her, so she didn't care. They are Mo Yesi's friends, but not her friends. It's normal to not like yourself. Furthermore, she could see that Gong Zili had a very good relationship with Shenro, and his indifferent attitude toward her might also have something to do with Shenro. Mo Yesi, it's okay, Xiao Mian wanted to say that she didn't care. She felt that there was no need for Mo Yesi to sour the relationship between the brothers because of her. Mr. Mo is domineering and protective of his wife. Even good brothers who grew up wearing crotchless pants together cannot let his wife suffer. Well, I believe the babies have figured out why Gong Si is so hostile to Mian, because he likes Shenro. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 192. Chapter 192. Miss Xiao is really good at it. But before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by his cold voice, "Don't say anything either. This is between me and him. Chiao Mian Mian." The man's voice was not as gentle as before, it sounded cold. Even though the tone when talking to her was much better than when talking to Yan Xiaoqing, Chiao Mian Mian was still so cold that she shivered all over. She was used to his various tenderness in front of her, but she was a little frightened by his sudden cold attitude. I originally wanted to give him a few words of advice, but looking at his gloomy face, I had to give up my thoughts. After a moment of silence, seeing that Mo Yesi had no intention of giving in, Shenro felt sour in her heart. She bit her lip and whispered to Gong Zili, "Zili, just admit your mistake to ACI. Are you going to do it for such a small thing? Just have a quarrel with him." Mong Zili's soft and handsome face was covered with a layer of gloom. He bit his lips and turned around after a moment of silence. His cold eyes fell on Chiao Mianmian's face, he stared at her for a few seconds, and slowly raised the corners of his lips. "Miss Chiao is really good at it. Once you come, our brothers who have been together for more than 10 years will be able to make trouble for you. Do you feel a sense of accomplishment with this?" Chiao Mian opened her eyes wide and looked at him in shock. "What does this have to do with her? She didn't do anything. I heard that Miss Chiao is still a student, she is not very young, but she is quite capable." As soon as he finished speaking, he saw a wine glass flying towards him. He was stunned for a moment and hurriedly avoided it. The wine glass that was going to hit him hit the wall nearby. There was a pop sound, and the crystal cup shattered and fell to the ground. "Ah!" Shenro turned pale with fright, covered her mouth and screamed. Gong Zili slowly raised his head and looked at Mo Yesi in disbelief. "Get out!" Mo Yesi's voice was cold and deep, as if it could condense a layer of ice. "Get out of my sight immediately. Don't force me to do it myself." "ACI, you." Shenro's face was full of shock, as if she couldn't believe that he would really hit Gong Zili with a wine glass. Just for one Chiao Mian. Is that woman so important? More important than the brothers he has known for so many years? At this moment, Shenro felt as if she didn't recognize Mo Yesi anymore. He is different from the one she knew before. Mo Yesi didn't look at her, but looked at Gong Zili coldly and said, "Didn't you hear that? Why don't you get out?" Gong Zili's face was extremely gloomy, and he suddenly sneered, "Okay, very good. Mo Yesi, you are a who values sex over friends. Okay, this woman is more important than anyone else, right? Okay, then when we have known each other for nothing, brother, you don't need her anymore, just hold your woman for the rest of your life." After saying that, he turned around and left angrily. "Zi Li, please wait a moment." Shenro looked at Mo Yesi deeply, sighed, and hurriedly chased after him. Yan Xiaoqing also sighed silently, feeling very tired. Well, what he worried about finally happened. Asterisk. Leave the meeting hall. Second brother, I don't know what the fourth child's fault is today. You also know that he has always had a weird temper and often gets angry for no apparent reason. Just think that he is menopausal and don't get along with him. When he calms down, he will definitely realize his mistake and take the initiative to apologize to you. I will also try to persuade him also. Sister-in-law, let me say sorry to you on behalf of the fourth child. Thank you. 18053, Chi Yan, 1580116, 15081, 1580637, 13691, 15009, the little woman who loves to be entangled, 18857. Reward, darlings. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 193. Chapter 193 Why are you sorry for me? Actually, he just has a weird temper, but he is not a bad person. He probably doesn't have any ill intentions towards you, but he's just not in a good mood today, so. What the real reason is, Yan Xiaoqing knows. It's just that he can't say this to Qiao Mian. Otherwise, if the second brother knew about it, he would not be able to pluck out his skin. It's okay. Qiao Mian smiled at him and said generously, I don't mind. Hearing her say she didn't mind, Yan Xiaoqing was stunned for a moment. Sister-in-law, you really don't mind? Qiao Mian nodded. Well, everyone will be in a bad mood sometimes. I can understand. She looked generous on the outside, but in her heart she thought that she would not be able to meet that Gong Zili a few times in the future. It doesn't matter at all whether he likes her or not. Thank you, sister-in-law, for your understanding. Yan Xiaoqing had a good impression of Qiao Mian when he saw those two dimples before, and now he thinks she is quite cute. Not only is she good looking, but she also has a good personality. If it weren't for Shenro, Gong Zili would probably think she's pretty good. Then I'll go ahead and not disturb the world between my second brother and my sister-in-law. After Yan Xiaoqing finished speaking, he glanced at Mo Yesi very quickly. Seeing that he still had a gloomy face, he couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Take a breath. It seems that the fourth brother really made the second brother angry this time. This matter is not easy to handle. Yan Xiaoqing's car was parked opposite. It was a Lamborghini sports car with a very flashy color. Not long after, a green supercar drove out of the parking space and quickly drove out of the parking lot. At the same time, Uncle Li also drove over in the black Rolls-Royce. He parked the car, opened the door and got out, then walked around to the rear compartment and opened the door. Master, Madam, please get in the car. Let's go. Mo Yesi reached out, took Qiao Mian's hand, and led her into the car. Asterisk. Arrived in the car. Mo Yesi told Uncle Li, go directly back to Lushan Villa. Yes, master. After giving the explanation, Mo Yesi closed his eyes and rubbed his eyebrows, looking very tired. That, Mo Yesi. Just now I heard that Xiaoqing was here, and it was difficult for her to say some things. Now that there are no outsiders in the car, Qiao Mian feels that she needs to talk to him. She felt a little guilty in her heart. Although she felt that she was actually quite unjust. But no matter what, Mo Yesi did have such a trouble with his friend because of her. Mo Yesi slowly opened his eyes and stared at her with his deep dark eyes. Huh. The man's voice is slightly hoarse and sounds particularly and magnetic. Qiao Mian bit her lip, her long and thick eyelashes trembled, and she raised her eyes uneasily. Well, I'm sorry. Mo Yesi was startled and narrowed his eyes. Why are you sorry for me? What happened tonight? It's all because of me that you and your friends. It has nothing to do with you, he interrupted her. If you don't say sorry, you have nothing to do with me. But. Qiao Mian bit the corner of her lip and sighed softly. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have had a quarrel. I'm really sorry. If I had known that he didn't like me, I shouldn't have. What should I do? Shouldn't you come with me? End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 194. Chapter 194. How can it be done without giving him a lesson? Mo Yesi frowned and tightened the hand holding her. After a moment, he reached out and gently pulled her into his arms. Mian, you are my wife. They are my best friends. I don't ask for anything they have to like you, but if they can't even show the most basic respect to my wife, what do you think I'm going to think? If I don't let them know how angry I am this time, they will only disrespect you even more in the future. I said I won't let you suffer any more grievances, and I will keep my word. The fourth child knows that I care about you and value you, but he dares to show off to you. He doesn't give you face, and he doesn't my face. How can he do it if he doesn't teach him a lesson? Chiao Mian was a little speechless. Her heart suddenly beat very fast. Just now he said he cared about her and valued her. Even though she didn't know whether what he said was true or not, at this moment, she admitted that she was indeed a little moved. Let me ask, in such a situation, which woman would not be moved? When you really feel that the other person really cares about you, values you very much, and protects you in every way. And this man is an outstanding man like Mo Yesi. She has a handsome appearance, a noble temperament, possesses supreme power, and treats you with all kinds of tenderness, consideration, care, and pampering. In such a situation, if she could still remain completely indifferent, she would no longer be a human being, but a god. It's a pity that she is not a god. So, it is inevitable that she will be moved. After all, a man like Mo Yesi is really too alluring. After Mo Yesi finished speaking, he noticed that Chiao Mian seemed to be stunned, staring at him blankly without blinking. He was stunned again, reached out to hold her chin, and gently rubbed her chin with his long and beautiful fingers. His deep eyes narrowed. What are you looking at? Did you suddenly realize that your husband is very handsome? Chiao Mian nodded blankly. A pleasant chuckle rang in his ears. The man swept away his previous gloomy displeasure, and revealed a slight smile in his charming deep black eyes. Since you think your husband is very handsome, then call him and let me hear it, eh? Ah! Chiao Mian blinked, and when she met his teasing and expectant gaze, she instantly came back to her senses. Then, his face felt hot, and he blushed and stammered, what? I didn't hear clearly what you just said. Ah. Why was she staring at Mo Yesi like a just now? Moreover, he was discovered. It's so embarrassing. Chiao Mian felt that she was definitely not the kind of nymphomaniac woman. She has never been infatuated with any man. But, she had committed nymphomaniacs more than once in front of Mo Yesi. This certainly cannot be blamed on her lack of concentration. The reason is that the man next to her is so charming. Didn't you hear clearly? Another low and laugh came from the man's throat. Well, let me say it again. Baby, please call me husband. We are already married, and you haven't called me husband yet. The small and soft chin was held between his fingers and gently lifted up. Chiao Mian glanced into the man's deep and charming eyes. My heart felt like it was lightly hit by something, and I could no longer calm down. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 195. Chapter 195 is due today. Her heart was beating rapidly. Call me hubby, there is a hint of coaxing in the deep magnetic voice, which makes people feel soft in their hearts. Chiao Mian was aroused to the point where her heart was trembling. In front of you is the man's impossibly handsome face, in your ears you can hear his voice that is so sultry that it can make your ears pregnant, and your nose is filled with his alluring aura. Chiao Mian felt a little dizzy as if she had been poisoned. Her face felt hot, and her face was as red as blood. Mo Yesi. Call him husband? Ah. Feeling so ashamed. Although according to the relationship on the marriage certificate, he is already her husband. However, she felt really awkward and ashamed to call him that. She couldn't scream. Well, baby, I'm here. The man came closer, his suffocatingly handsome face even closer to hers, and his voice became deeper and more seductive. Chiao Mian's little heart beat hard a few more times. Looking at the beautiful face in front of her, she swallowed. I can't scream. I really can't call it out. Thinking about it, it feels very awkward. You didn't even scream, how do you know you can't scream? You'll get used to it if you call me a few times. Be good and call me husband. Chiao Mian's face turned red and she wanted to cry. I really can't scream. Can you give me some time? Moyesi saw that she was so anxious that she was about to cry. Although he was a little disappointed, he didn't force her anymore. Okay, I'll give you some time. But I promised you, shouldn't you also satisfy me a little, require? What? Chiao Mian breathed a sigh of relief, blinked, and looked at him curiously. Moyesi curled his lips. If you don't want to call me husband, then call me darling. Chiao Mian. Otherwise, I'll call you husband, it's your choice. Chiao Mian. I feel that any title is so shameful. But in comparison, dear seems to be a little better, not so difficult to say. Okay, okay, she took a deep breath, bit her lip, suppressed the shyness in her heart, and shouted very quietly, dear. The voice is soft and delicate. Moyesi felt the urge almost instantly. His eyes darkened. Baby, scream again, louder. Dear, well. Chiao Mian's lips were kissed deeply by the man, and the hot lips were like a ball of fire, burning wantonly on her lips. He kissed me deeply and hard. Soon, the air in the mouth was deprived, and even the air in the chest became thinner and thinner under the man's increasingly powerful attacks. Just when Chiao Mian was about to suffocate, Moyesi let her go. Baby. The man's voice was dark and hoarse, with that had not completely dissipated. He held her face with one hand. Do you still remember our 1-week appointment? Are you ready? Chiao Mian was paralyzed in his arms and panting. 1-week appointment? What a 1-week appointment? The man's husky and voice sounded in her ears again. It's due today. Don't tell me, you're not ready yet. This time, even if she is not ready, he is not going to let her go. When Chiao Mian remembered the so-called 1-week appointment, her eyes widened and she was so nervous that her body stiffened. Is it so fast? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 196. Chapter 196. I don't want to hear it. Oh my god, how come it's suddenly only been a week? She was completely unprepared. Me. Don't make any more excuses, the man interrupted her forcefully and stared at her, as if staring at a prey that was destined to be won. I don't want to hear it. I've been waiting for a whole week, and I don't want to hear it again. Wait. Moyesi, I. Chiao Mian panicked. The man's burning eyes showed no intention of giving in. He spoke forcefully every word. Baby, whether you are willing to accept it or not, tonight, I will make you a veritable MRSMO. Asterisk. Lushan Villa. From the moment Moyesi said, tonight I want you to become a veritable MRSMO, Chiao Mian's heart was in chaos and she couldn't calm down for a long time. From the man's hot and determined gaze, she clearly realized that she couldn't escape tonight. His determination to want her is very firm and will never waver. Young master, young madam. After getting off the car, Moyesi held her in his arms and walked into the villa. Ren was waiting in the living room with a group of maids. When he saw the two people walking in, he immediately bent down and called out respectfully. The maids standing behind him also called out respectfully, Master, Madam. Moyesi nodded and walked upstairs with Chiao Mian in his arms. Arrived outside his bedroom. Chiao Mian stood at the door, her heart beating fast, her fists clenched nervously, and her breathing quickening. Moyesi felt the body of the girl next to him suddenly stiffen. He curled his lips and glanced down at her, with a trace of amusement and teasing in his eyes. He stretched out his hand to open the door, held her in his arms and walked into the room. One hand reached to his neck, unbuttoning his shirt, and said, Baby, you go take a shower first. As soon as he finished speaking, the girl next to him stopped. The body stiffened instantly. Wash, wash, take a bath. Chiao Mian was so frightened that her heart almost stopped beating. Her eyes widened and her mouth opened, as if she was frightened. Her tongue was knotted. Why, now, need a bath. Maybe he wanted to do something with her as soon as he came back. It's not yet 9 o'clock in the evening. It's probably too early. Is he just so impatient? When the words "can't wait" came to mind, Chiao Mian's face felt hot, and her fair face was stained with a faint blush. Mo Yesi stopped with her, looked at her with his deep eyes, and said with a half smile, "Well, is there any problem?" Chiao Mian. Of course there is a problem. Her face was extremely hot, and her little heart was beating wildly. She swallowed nervously, and squeezed out a slightly stiff smile from the corner of her lips. I think it's too early now, there's no need to, let's take a shower so early. Morning. Mo Yesi raised his eyebrows, stretched out his hand to unbutton one button, and then moved on to unbutton the second one. He bent down, his noble and handsome face suddenly enlarged in front of Chiao Mian's eyes, his thin lips gently raised, and he whispered in a sultry voice, "Baby, a spring night is worth 1,000 pieces of gold, but I can't wait for one more second. It's not too early for me at all." When the man spoke, his breath fell on her forehead. "I didn't mean to get stuck here, I'll serve for." Well, even though Gong Si doesn't like Mian now, he will be abused by Mian in the future. As for how, you can imagine. P.S. Thank you for depression, 13810, 1864963, 15009, 15081, 1386116, Yanzi, A, 15879, a reward from a troubled little woman, I love you, End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 197. Chapter 197. We can take it slow. The warm and moist breath was like a feather brushing through her heart, making Chiao Mian's heart tremble. When she met the man's burning eyes, her heart beat faster, her breathing stopped for a second, and there was obvious panic in her eyes. Mo Yesi, you, don't be like this. Mo Yesi had already unbuttoned the second button of his shirt. As soon as Chiao Mian looked up, she saw his Adam's apple and collarbone, as well as his attractive chest muscles wrapped in a black shirt. The man's sharp-jointed fingers continued to unbutton the third button of his shirt. His jade-white fingers landed on the pure black handmade buttons, and he was taking off his clothes again. No matter how you looked at it, you felt extremely tempted. The looming chest muscles, the Adam's apple rolling up and down. There is also the attractive hormonal smell in men. Chiao Mian's little heart beat faster and faster, and the trembling became more and more violent. His face seemed to be on fire, getting hotter and hotter. You. Looking at Mo Yesi undoing the buttons of his shirt one by one, his large and attractive chest muscles were exposed without any obstruction. Looking further down, you can even see his even more attractive abdominal muscles and waistcoat line. Further down. Oh my God, Chiao Mian quickly reached out to cover her nose, fearing that nosebleeds would come out in the next second. Her face was hot, she looked away in panic, turned her head, her ears were red. Don't take it off anymore. It turns out that it's not just women's bodies that can be described with the word sexy. The same goes for men. Seeing Mo Yesi's figure, these two words were the first thing that popped into Chiao Mian's mind. Not only sexy, but also sexy. He is definitely the best looking and sexiest man among all the men she has ever seen. Facing such a tempting beauty, no matter how determined she was, she couldn't resist. Why does she feel like Mo Yesi is deliberately tempting her? Seduce her with his beauty. Just take off your clothes, why are you taking them off so slowly? Are you shy, Amo Yesi reached out and pinched the girl's red ears, and a low laugh came from his throat. Baby, haven't you already seen my body? There is nothing to be shy about. Chiao Mianmian's face turned redder when she thought of that time in her dormitory. She was embarrassed and annoyed and said, "You are not allowed to say any more." The man's deep laughter became even more joyful. "Baby, don't be shy, turn your head and look at me." Chiao Mian bit her lip. "No." "Then let me walk over and let you take a look, okay?" "Don't want." "If you think it's unfair, you can take it off and let me see it." "No, hooligan, big hooligan. Why does a person who looks so serious, so cold and ascetic outside turn into a big pervert in front of her?" "Hey," the man sighed lowly, "you won't look at it, and you won't show it to me, baby. What do you want me to do with you? Is it possible?" The back felt warm, and the man's warm and strong body pressed against him. "Do you like wearing clothes? Although I haven't tried it, but if you like it, we can try it. Anyway, we still have a lot of time tonight, so we can take our time." Amo Yesi hugged her after himself. Put her petite and soft body completely into his arms in a confining posture. Chiao Mian felt as if there was a stove attached to her back. Her whole body was placed in the furnace, being roasted until her whole body was steaming. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 198. Chapter 198 is a very important matter. Baby. Amo Yesi lowered his head and whispered in her ear with his thin lips, "Don't try to escape. Don't be afraid, I will try to be gentle and won't hurt you. I heard that a woman's first time will be very painful." She had given him her first time. So, it shouldn't hurt so much anymore. Amo Yesi felt that he was confident to give her a wonderful experience tonight. His lips slowly moved down, and his voice was low and hoarse. "Don't worry, give yourself to me, I will make you happy." Wait. Chiao Mian tensed her body and was so nervous that she almost cried. Didn't you tell me to take a shower first?" "Yeah, but I can't wait any longer." The girl in her arms exudes an alluring fragrance, and her fragrant and soft body is like a sweet candy exuding a fatal temptation. Make him crazy about it? Originally, I was just teasing her, and I didn't really want to kill her at this time. But now, he knows what it means to play with fire and burn yourself. His voice became hoarse little by little, and the hand around her waist tightened inch by inch. "Baby, can you give it to me?" "I." Chiao Mian had just said one word when the world was spinning and she was hugged by Amo Yesi. Without waiting for her to answer, he carried her towards the black bed in the room. Chiao Mian's heart beat wildly. After being thrown onto the soft big bed by him, she closed her eyes shyly. Knowing that she couldn't hide, she didn't even think about hiding anymore. Since he wants it so much, then give it to him. Men are all like this. When they don't get it, they want it in every possible way. Once you get it, you will gradually become less enthusiastic about it. If she keeps refusing to give it to him, it will make him think about her all the time. It is better to give it to him earlier. If he gets it, he will not think about it day by day. Even though she was mentally prepared at this time, Chiao Mian was still nervous. "Baby." Amo Yesi kissed her tenderly, and his voice was gentle. "Relax, open your eyes and look at me." Chiao Mian tilted her head to one side, her eyes were closed tightly, and her face was steaming. She didn't dare to open her eyes and look at him. Seeing her eyes closed and her face flushed with embarrassment, Amo Yesi chuckled, and gently kissed her on the center of her eyebrows. While kissing her, he murmured in a low voice, "Baby, mine baby." Chiao Mian tightened her grip on the sheets. When Amo Yesi reached out to untie her clothes, she suddenly called him, "Amo Yesi." "Huh," the man's voice was hoarse. Chiao Mian bit her lip, took a deep breath, and said with a trembling voice, there is something, I want to tell you. Say now. The man was obviously trying his best to endure it, and thin beads of sweat broke out on his forehead. Baby, it's not the right time to talk about things now. If you have anything to do, let's talk about it later. After saying that, he lowered his head to kiss her again. Chiao Mian dodged for a moment, opened her eyes, and after a trace of hesitation flashed in her eyes, she continued, "It's a very important matter." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 199. Chapter 199. I didn't see clearly what he looked like. Mo Yesi. He took a deep breath, his eyes full of restraint and patience, a little helpless. Must I say it now? Yeah, Chiao Mian nodded heavily. Okay, tell me what's the matter. Chiao Mian looked into his deep and burning eyes, bit her lip, and said cruelly, I am no longer a virgin. She thought about it and still felt that she should tell him about this in advance. Then it's up to him to choose whether to continue or not. She would understand it if he disliked her being dirty and didn't want to touch her anymore. He is still a virgin, so he is qualified to ask his other half to be like him. Mo Yesi was startled, with a hint of surprise in his eyes. It seems that she didn't expect that this was what she was talking about. Chiao Mian saw his reaction clearly. Even though she could understand his mood at this time, her heart was still inevitably stung. Bit sad. Sure enough, would he think she was dirty? But that night, she was also a victim. She had obviously thought that he would dislike her and was mentally prepared to be disliked by him, so why did she still feel sad? She blinked, holding back the sourness in her eyes, and said calmly, "If you mind, we don't have to continue. I'm sorry, I should have confessed this matter to you before we got married, but I really didn't think of it at the time. Come here. You can get a divorce now if you want. We can go to the Civil Affairs Bureau for divorce tomorrow. But Chen Chen is innocent. I hope you won't stop operating on him just because I'm angry with him." Chiao Mian has always felt that she and Mo Yesi did not get married because they liked each other. This marriage, which has no emotional foundation, will be gone if it is gone. She won't be sad about it, let alone be reluctant to give up. I don't know why, but when she said the word divorce just now, her heart suddenly throbbed. It feels like being pricked by something sharp, it feels very uncomfortable. And she actually felt a trace of reluctance in her heart. She discovered that she was not as carefree and unconcerned about divorce as she had imagined. She actually didn't really want to divorce Mo Yesi. Is it because he has been too good to her during this period and she is used to his kindness and is afraid that she will lose these benefits after divorce, so she is reluctant to divorce him? Before I had time to think about it, I heard the man above my head suddenly say, "Did your first time go to Suzy?" Chiao Mian was stunned and raised her eyes to look at him. She didn't see any disgust or dissatisfaction on his face or eyes, and he didn't show any anger, he just looked at her calmly. She was silent for a while, recalling what happened that night. Her face looked a little ugly. "No. Who is that?" Mo Yesi's eyes flickered. "Who did you give your first time to?" Chiao Mian bit her lips and was silent for a moment before she said with difficulty, "I don't know." A sarcastic smile appeared on her lips. "I don't know who he is. I was drunk that night, so drunk that I lost consciousness. I was taken to a room in the hotel by several strangers. They took me over and left. I fell asleep in the room for a while, and then a man came in." At this point, her eyes suddenly turned red, she clenched her fists and said, I didn't see clearly what he looked like. I was panicked and confused at the time, and all I wanted to do was leave quickly. But, I really regret it now. We've arrived at the station, please line up and get off. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 200. Chapter 200, Do You Really Hate Him? Moyesi's face changed slightly, the in his eyes had been replaced by other emotions, his eyes were dim and he asked, What do you regret? Chiao Mian gritted her teeth and said, I regret leaving like that. I should have beaten that up, and I should have called the police to catch him. But, I didn't do anything. Moyesi. Can you beat him? I'll beat you even if you can't beat me. You just hate him so much. Isn't what he did hateful? Chiao Mian's eyes were full of resentment. He is just a bastard, a despicable scumbag. Moyesi. He suddenly became irritable. Originally, I wanted to find a chance to tell her what happened that night. But now, she resented him so much that night. If he told her the truth, would she forgive him? Moyesi was not sure. He was silent for a moment, and his voice was a little dry. You just can't remember what he looks like at all. Chiao Mian shook his head. She suddenly opened her eyes wide and looked straight at him. Moyesi actually felt a little guilty when she saw him. What's wrong? Chiao Mian stared at him for a few seconds and shook her head. It's nothing. Just when Moyesi asked her that question, she felt a familiar feeling again. Facing his lustful eyes, for some reason, she remembered the man that night. In the darkness, those fiery eyes full of possessiveness. While she was stunned, the shadow covering her head suddenly disappeared. Chiao Mian raised her head and saw Moyesi turning over and lying on the other side of the big bed. He lay silently for a while, then slowly sat up, closed his eyes, and said, Suddenly I remembered that there are still some documents that have not been processed. I will go to the study for a while. There is a computer in the room, and the password is 4 5s. You can use it as you like. There is a movie room on the first floor. If you want to watch a movie, just tell Ren and he will play it for you. If you want to take a walk, you can find a maid to accompany you to the garden. You can tell Ren what you want to eat. Also, I asked him to buy you some daily necessities before, including clothes, accessories, shoes and bags. You can also see if you like it. If you don't like it, tell him and ask him to buy it for you again. I may stay late in the study. If you feel sleepy, just go to bed. You don't have to wait for me. After saying that, he turned his head and looked at Chiao Mian. Chiao Mian lay there straight, clutching the sheets under the bed with one hand, trying her best to hold back her tears. After taking a deep breath, she nodded with a smile, Yes, I understand. Moyesi frowned. Mian he stretched out his hand to pull her up, then gently hugged her into his arms, lowered his head and kissed her on the forehead. Don't think about it, I don't mind. I really remembered that there are some important things. The matter has not been dealt with, so. I know. Before he could finish speaking, Chiao Mian nodded sensibly, I'm not thinking about it. You go and do your work, I understand. Moyesi frowned and looked at her with suspicion in his eyes. Are you really not thinking wildly? His sudden stop at this time would inevitably cause her to misunderstand. But after knowing how resentful she was towards him for taking away her innocence that night, he couldn't continue to be with her as if he didn't know anything. He suddenly lost his mood. Don't panic, I won't abuse you. If you say it's a cookie, it must be a cookie. I'll be back tomorrow. Thank you. 138:10, 158:46, 136:91, Min, a troubled little woman, 181 for the reward. End of this chapter.